Give it up for Michael and everyone. Oh, talk about being blessed. Well. So my talk today is curiosity, a life well lived. There's been an awful lot of changes going on, not just here at the center with Dr. Laura and Michael and any and every one of us here, but there's changes always. And when we can live that life from a standpoint or a vantage point of curiosity, it opens us up to possibilities. Walt Whitman once said, and this is quoted from a Ted Lasso, is, "Be curious, not judgmental." And I love that scene when he's throwing the darts, But isn't that often the case? We hear things, see things from this person or that person, and we get an idea of what their thoughts are. But what are my thoughts? What are your thoughts? Let us be curious together and find out what this thing called life is, and let's live it well. Life is a series of choices, some small, some are monumental, and these choices are not random. They are opportunities to co-create with the universal mind. I'm teaching a class, and all of us are teaching classes, from just sound immersion to actual classes with paper and pencils and homework. But it's getting connected with that universal mind and realizing that all of this experience is right here. And from that standpoint and from that vantage point. And so today I'd like to talk about this curiosity. Let us get curious about our own life, not what's happening outside of ourselves, because Ernest Holmes talks about that we create our own life. So by turning inward and being curious about our own life, we ultimately have the answers and the map of how we want to experience life. So let us explore this. Life reflects the quality of our choices, and the conscious choices require awareness. Curiosity opens the door to possibilities. So by being aware and being informed is different than, I have this information, now I'm making a judgment call. Because again, the relative world happening around me, the choices of my friends, or the choices of who I don't call friends. How about that? But by being curious and finding out the truth and not hearsay allows us to be more informed to make our own decisions. Again, with alignment in spirit and with spirit, we can make an informed decision for myself. Because I can tell you what, the choices I make for myself aren't for my children, aren't for my granddaughter, definitely aren't for my wife. But that's my life. And by being curious and being in alignment with spirit, from that vantage point, it allows me to see the unfoldment of everyone's life and seeing the diversity in everything, but seeing the beauty most importantly. Even with things that I may not necessarily agree with, I can see the beauty and the continuity of that energy that we call life. I mean, this past week, I got a phone call from Dylan, our youngest son. and goes, "Dad, are you okay?" And I said, "Sure, what's going on?" He goes, "I saw all that wind. What's going on?" And I go, "Yeah, it's windy. There's a tree that fell over." But then I saw the video that he saw, and it looked like some sort of hurricane was passing through here with all the palm leaves going down and stuff. It was just truly amazing. But he's curious. And seeing that there's all this turmoil here, when yes, there may be one little spot, one little community, or one little street that I wouldn't have wanted to been on at that point in time in the universe. But overall, it was okay. But what did that bring? It brings the rain. It was a foretelling of the rains, which again, talking about curiosity, the rains bring the spring flowers to where we have those blooms and that beauty. So in this moment of what I call turmoil, or what we may experience as turmoil, is nothing more than the universe setting itself up for divine right action to have new growth emerge. When we can see everyday life from that vantage point and being curious and not judgmental on one specific action, but being curious about the unfoldment of all life, at least for me, it gets me curious about what else am I thinking? I better pay attention to what I'm thinking. The mind is a creative force. Whatever we think with feeling, we impress upon universal mind, and it becomes our experience. And that's from Ernest Fromm, that's our textbook. And that is so true. There's not much more that needs to be expanded upon that except reading it again. The mind is a creative force. My mind, your mind, is a creative force. Why? Whatever we think with feeling, we impress upon universal mind, spiritual mind, the absolute mind, and it becomes our experience. Spirit always says yes. I love that. But that asterisk at the bottom, it always says yes. So whatever I'm experiencing, I'm the creator. I put the word into my mind. I have the feelings. And Spirit, all it does is go, okay, you should have it, and abundantly. So I better make sure I know what I'm thinking. I better be conscious and not on autopilot at 30,000 feet up in the air on an on an Alaska airline. I've got to be conscious at all points in my life. Even small, everyday choices carry creative power. Thoughts, feelings, and actions shape outcome. Choices can be unconscious or conscious. We teach the science of mind, our mind, conscious thought, being aware that this isn't some roll of the dice on a Sunday afternoon in some alleyway. This is everyday life, every second life. And by coming here and hearing these sermons and coming to these classes and being aware of how our thoughts create our lives and being conscious of it, we are able to create a better life for ourselves. And what my better life is for me is different than yours and different from everyone here. And that's the beautiful thing about Spirit. It's omnipresence. Its ability to say yes to each and every one of us and manifest on an individual basis. So regardless of what's going on in this world, what's going on in your neighborhood has no bearing on our or your life. Yes, we may see what's happening outside our windows. see the wind blowing by and trees falling down. But I tell you what, my lemon tree is perfect, and it still has lemons on it. And it's either I get a chance to make, limoncello or lemonade. Oh, there you go. But the choice is mine. And I get to see the unfoldment of all life, not just on an individual basis, but on a collective basis. And yes, see what's happening in the world. Not sticking my head in the ground going, oh, that's not happening. But see it and say, you know what? My mind creates my life. And if that's true for me, and no, not if, since that's true for me, I know for a fact it's true for each and every one of you. And if you can't believe that in yourself, then attach your belief to my belief and know that I have the belief in you that you do have the ability to change your mind and change your life in doing that. That you are not confined to some box, some relative outside construct. Life is a series of experiments. Woohoo! And each choice is a test, oh God, of consciousness. Curiosity allows us to explore without fear of wrong outcomes. Because universal mind's response creatively, man, I love it. I just love myself. I love my tongue twist. Responds creatively to our intent. So even though I may not be able to talk about it, get my tongue and my mouth and my lips and my teeth and whatever to form right, to create the words, I have the intent, which means mentally. I don't need to say it out loud. I mentally know what the hell I'm talking about. I just need to get my mind and my mouth together. Spirits and spirituality. Oh my gosh. But not to worry about wrong outcomes. I should have made a left when I made a right. Yesterday I should have gone down the 110 as opposed to the 605. If anybody was in Los Angeles yesterday, they were working on it. It was rush hour. Anyway. The greatest thing we can do is to learn to think rightly and act accordingly. Beautifully said, Ernest Holmes. Learn to think rightly and act accordingly. What thoughts are we having, people? And only you can answer that. So answer to yourself truthfully, because you don't need to sell yourself to someone going, oh, yes, I'm thinking rightly, when inside you're going, oh, God, I hope the other shoe doesn't fall off. And it's okay if you do think that. Because I'm telling you what, I bet Ernest Holmes had thoughts like that. The difference is that as you learn this philosophy of right thinking, you can have those off-train thoughts. But you recognize it the moment that it happens and align yourself back up with spirit, so that you're back on the trail of reaching the highest ground. The journey is never over. Dr. Dale went and saw a friend and said, Dr. Laura's having a great old time. Woohoo! And when she says she's spiritually bitch-slapped, that means being inspired to change humanity. For those of you who are new here and don't know our humor, you'll get used to it. We love to have fun. Fear limits our awareness. Habits keeps us in the familiar. Curiosity expands the possibilities, and that's what I love. So yes, we may be in the ditch. You may be in the ditch. But as soon as you become curious, guess what? you become more than the ditch. So you don't have to get out of the ditch. The ditch just naturally dissipates because you are bigger than any type of hole that you thought you were in. And the journey continues. Use curiosity as a spiritual practice. Ask questions with openness. Then observe life without judgment. Okay. Stay present and attentive. Be present in the now. Be aware of the thoughts that we're having. By being aware, we're able to make conscious right decisions, not on the relative of what's going on, but what's on the absolute. Divine right order. Is that where my mind is? And again, my son's right divine order is not necessarily my divine right order. And I'm learning to keep my mouth shut to let him, so that he doesn't know what my divine right order is for him, because he'll tell me what his divine right order is for me. The truth is not found in resistance. It is found in openness. So let us not be resistant to what's going on in the world. Let us be receptive to it. Allow it to flow into us and through us. Just like when we go into meditation. We tell you just allow those thoughts to come in and out of your consciousness, but don't hold. That was a mistake. That was not timed. Oh, my God. Thank you, Dr. Laura. What was I saying? Oh, don't hold on to any one thought. Allow those individual, oh my gosh, moments just pass through, because we're immersed and aligned with Spirit on a mental and spiritual level. And just allow divine right action to unfold perfectly. Curiosity is more than intellectual. It is a willingness to let the universe teach us moment by moment. So yes, here I am talking about some wind that happened in Palm Springs a few days ago, but that was yesterday. Imagine if every thought that you had, or think about those thoughts that you had that were about yesterday, last week, last year. How can I be present in the moment if I'm thinking about those thoughts and those worries? Because when I do that, I'm out of spiritual alignment. And the reason is, and it's very simple, God is omnipresent, which means the only action is now. So if I'm thinking about yesterday, how can I be consciously moving my life forward in the now? And that's where that asterisk comes into play, where we are in control of our own lives. And we must be aware of our thoughts at any given moment. Curiosity leads to growth. Curiosity challenges assumptions. Curiosity fosters learning. Curiosity invites creativity. I tell you what, I'm sure there are people out here who think that they're not artists, that they're not creative, because I don't know how to draw. I don't know how to paint. But right there, we are all artists. We are all creative. The way we become more creative is to become curious about life. How can I reach the highest ground? What is mine to do? When I sit in the quiet and I allow these everyday thoughts to move in and out of my consciousness and allow them to dissipate, and then allow that spiritual drive that's inside of me, that's always been there since I was knee-high to a stump, when I allow that to come up, it allows that creativity to flow, regardless of the medium that you choose. It might be writing a book. It might be planting a garden. It might be telling your significant other what to do. Ooh, that's a good one. Yes, I like that. Steps for conscious choice making. So here's a little formula. 1, pause and observe. Be still and be present. Not making judgments, but being aware of what's going on. And see it for the truth of what it is. Spirit's divine right order. Not on some hearsay or what my buddy just sent me as a text. Oh, did you hear X, Y, and Z? 2, ask, what do I truly desire? And Reverend David's having his sound immersion. This is a perfect opportunity where you can lay and allow him to do his artistic creativity so that you can quietly lay down and go, what do I truly desire? And allow his frequency, his 412 frequency, kilohertz, or whatever the chakra is that he's hitting it at. But the point is, be present. Ask yourself the question. Allow your heart to answer what the mind is thinking or asking. Number 3, consider, what is the highest good? What is your highest good? And the beautiful thing about that is once you've reached your highest good, there's a new highest good unfolding. Because as soon as you open that door and step through that threshold and close the door behind you, guess what? There's another door ahead of you. Be curious about the room that you are in. Be curious about what's on the other side of the door. Be curious about what other people are thinking. By being curious and asking questions, you are informed to make our own decisions about how we want to live our lives. And when we come from that standpoint of spiritual correctness or a spiritual alignment, and spirit is always good, then we know that it's righteous because we're right thinking. We've made a right decision, and now we just allow spirit to say yes and allow it to unfold perfectly with gratitude. Curious what number 4 is going to be. Choose from alignment, not fear. There we go. Alignment, spirit. I am aligned with spirit, so everything else outside of that statement has no relevance in my life and no relevance in your life. When we sit and contemplate and allow spirit to answer from within, because the answers are always within us, that alignment allows us to reach a higher ground, one that you may not have even known was there. And that's the fun part about curiosity in this philosophy. How does my life change? And as we do look back, we do have a rear view mirror, and it's nice to look at where I was and where I am now, and to see how life unfolded in that rear view mirror, and see how the dots connected. I, for one, go, that was exciting. What else can I do? Be curious. Act boldly, curiously, and with trust. Spirit always has our back. There's highs and there's lows. There's ebbs and flows in all life. Energy has a crest and a trough. That's the natural flow of energy. When you look at a wave sign, a frequency, it has ups and downs, but yet it's always moving forward. It's always the same energy. Allow life to have the ebbs and flows, but through our conscious thoughts and our conscious direction, we are focusing how our life unfolds. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Then ask yourself, what is possible when I choose with curiosity rather than fear? What new path might I explore today? And just allow yourself to answer that. Each moment is a new beginning. Choose with awareness, act with love, and explore with curiosity. Ernest Holmes, brilliant man, a great philosophy. I am curious. In every moment say, yes, I am present, I am curious, I am alive. Say that. Yes, I am present, I am curious, I am alive. Now go out and have a great day.